So today I wanted to make a video talking about Rigetti Computing, and this is a company that I've been holding for a little while now, and they've been doing pretty well. But if you look at the chart, you can see that in the last week or so, it has been on an absolute tear, and it has jumped a significant amount. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about my thoughts on it now that its valuation is really jumped up this last week or so, and kind of why it jumped and what I think is going to hold for it in the future. But this is a stock that I made my first video on it around probably February when I was at the $11 mark. And really the biggest reason for me kind of looking at it originally was there was that one day that the NVIDIA CEO said quantum computing was years in the future, and the Rigetti and similar quantum computing stocks saw huge drops. I mean, Rigetti itself dropped from around $20 all the way to $6. And I didn't catch it exactly $6, but somewhere close to there. Kind of just saw it huge drops in opportunity because nothing was really changing with the quantum industry or anything like that. And it ended up paying off. In the recent months, it had its couple of drops down to around the $7 mark, but had to stay strong. And eventually it rose up to about the $15 mark and kind of hovering around eventually at the $18 mark. But it was kind of rising with the rest of the market. And the rest of the market was pumping. Tech stocks were pumping. And it wasn't too much of an abnormal mover in the market in general. But this last couple week or so, it saw jumped up from, you look at the last month here, it jumped up from these levels. It kind of was holding these 15 levels, jumped up to around 16, and then this huge kind of exponential growth here. And there's really the main factor for that was they recently just signed a contract with the Air Force to basically research more into quantum computing with this other quantum startup that isn't on the market. But this isn't an actual, they aren't getting any real quantum uses yet, any quantum use contracts, like any companies using quantum yet, because I don't think it's not ready for that just yet. But these research contracts are very valuable because, first of all, it's the Air Force. The Air Force is obviously a highly regarded source to be giving out contracts. So for the Air Force to view Rigetti as, really this was the only contract they gave out to a quantum computing company, and it was Rigetti they chose. So that says something. It's probably why it was the best performer or one of the best performers out of the whole quantum industry this week or so. But just for Rigetti to be getting this opportunity and to continue to explore the quantum industry, because I've said before that the reason I chose Rigetti over all the other quantum companies, because there are many on the market and many to choose from if you are looking for a quantum stock, is because they hold a ton of cash. I just pulled up their last recent earnings, and they're not really making any money, only $1.8 million for the quarter. They're losing around $20 million a quarter, which isn't as bad as some of the other companies that are on the market. But the big thing is their cash. They have $572 million in cash. That is a ton of cash, especially for a company that's only now around 10 billion market cap. Before it's probably around 6 billion. That's a ton of cash, and that means that they're pretty much never going to go out of business unless this fails for the next 10 plus years, and they're not making any sort of money or anything like that, or not even, maybe a little less than 10, like 7+ years. But the CEO has said that in around 5 years, they will start making serious cash as long as, nothing drastic changes. So right now, there's nothing really to be expecting with Rigetti in terms of its revenues. They still only make around $1.8 million, $2 million a quarter. So nothing to really be expecting there. It's mostly just this research that they're doing right now to better their product. And I really do think they have the best quantum product on the market. There are certain other companies like, you see IonQ here and D-Wave Quantum that maybe make a little more money and are selling some certain products right now, but I don't think they're as good as Rigetti's. And that's what Rigetti has put out in their press releases. They have really the best technology. It's just waiting for that usage. And this money is not just like money to be thrown away. It's 3 years, $5.8 million. That's consistent revenue, and it's not going to like double their revenues or anything, but it will increase them, 10, 20% maybe over quarter, and maybe this is the start of something. They're getting other research contracts, continue to get these research contracts that will increase their revenues for now until they really have the uses for them. But I think right now, if you kind of to reevaluate where Rigetti is at now, obviously buying it at the 11 levels and now seeing at a 28 when really their revenues or nothing business-wise has changed, other than obviously they're getting these contracts, which you kind of knew they would get eventually. I think the valuation is a little high now, so that's why I'm definitely not selling it yet, because I think this is an amazing long-term pick, and I think selling it now would kind of be dumb because it could easily go up to 30 when investors are really just trying to pick up this market cap and realize in the future this could be $100 billion company if things really pick up. Obviously, no one knows. There's people who are saying quantum will become nothing, or others who are saying it'll become something. So no one really knows right now, but it looks like things are trending in the right direction. But I'm definitely not selling right now. I just want to kind of hold on to my position. But if anyone here watching doesn't already own Rigetti, I would not advise to buy at these levels. I would kind of maybe wait it out a little bit. If it continues to rise, I think at some point it'll drop back down to probably around the 25 levels. If it doesn't, as a holder, I'd be more than happy to watch that happen. But these are just such insane levels of growth for one contract. I think it's a little bit overhyped. So this is, again, one of my favorite picks. It's become a huge part of my portfolio now after this run up, almost triple since I invested originally, which is just amazing to see. I never would have expected it to go this high, but again, we were always eyeing these key levels of 20. It broke those levels with flying colors, and now we're around the 30 level. So next week will be an interesting one to see what happens. But yeah, as an overview, if you haven't already bought Rigetti Computing, I would not necessarily advise you to buy now. I think it's very expensive. I think it could easily drop back down to 20, and then you'd lose a significant percentage, and then you wouldn't have really anywhere to go from there. You just have to kind of sit and wait. If you still own, I would definitely say hold. I wouldn't sell at these levels and try to be ahead of the game. Maybe you end up it ends up dropping and you make some money, but I think in the long run it belongs higher than this. I don't think this is just a one-time thing. This company is showing no signs of slowing down. They have tons of cash, and their revenues are only really going to increase from here with all these research contracts. So let me know what you think in the comments about Rigetti. If you already have it, if you're thinking about buying. If you like the videos, please subscribe, and yeah, see you next week.